Exit 12 is not affiliated with any 12-step group or outside organizations. The purpose of this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. No person or organization is receiving any monetary gain from the recording, production, or distribution of this podcast. All hosts and guests are participating of their own free will and are only sharing their own personal experiences. Subjects discussed in this podcast may be triggering for some individuals. Listeners' discretion advised. All right, welcome to Exit 12. I am your host, Brian Fields, and as always, I am joined by my co-hosts, Michelle and Isaac.
What's up?
That was really lame.
That's all I got. Sorry.
Step it up.
That's all I got.
Yeah, can we get... There we go.
Put in some of those Ozzy. Put in some of those Zoomer sound effects that all
Can we get that?
Yeah, Mr. Beast uses like sobriety.
Yeah. That's so awesome. If you are in need of homeless or at-risk youth services, you can come down to my house, 300 North Willow Street, downtown Wasilla, Monday through Friday.
Or treatment.
Or if you need behavioral health treatment, my house is now offering low-intensity residential treatment.
18 to 25. Join the club. We got some people that are very excited to meet you. They love
when
seeing
you're
new
sober.
faces.
Yeah.
They love new faces.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and if you want a job in recovery, we do have some jobs.
Hey, that
posted.
too. Check out our Facebook. Check out our website.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right, today we have a returning guest. Let's welcome Maggie.
She back.
She back.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for being here, Maggie.
Maggie, what step were you with us for the first time? 2? I think 2.
Pretty sure it was 2. Sure.
Sure. Yeah,
So long ago.
She said, I was here. We talked about stuff, and that's how that went. You know? Okay, cool. All right. So today we're talking about step 7. Humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings.
Take them away.
Go away.
Go away.
Give it away. Give it. No.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just jump right into it. What does it look like to humbly
My
ask
first question.
God to remove our shortcomings?
Letting go of pride.
So the humbly is doing the heavy lifting there is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Except that you need to address your character defects.
Because we've established that we have them. Mm-hmm. But now we have to actually...
Yeah.
Acknowledge and work on it.
We want them to go away.
Yep. It's expressing humbleness. To be humbled.
Oh, so we're getting humbled. Michelle, that does not sound like any fun at all. So you're not really selling me on this step right now, because I know that I have these character defects doesn't mean that I want to work on them, because that kind of sounds like where we're going. Yeah. So put me at ease. I'm scared.
I think when people think of it, it's like actually taking a look in the mirror at yourself.
Inwardly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, inwardly.
Yeah. I think it looks different for everybody, you know. The humbling really comes in step 5 because you get kind of punched in the teeth a little bit,
right?
You know, and kind of get a wake up call of what are my shortcomings, and you get a pretty, I don't know if you guys did, but I got a pretty long list of what they were. And that was a really strong contrast comparison to what I thought of myself.
Yeah.
And so the 7-step prayer is, my Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect of character which should stand in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Amen.
Amen.
And so I think the big part in that is like you're finding relief from your shortcomings in service, right? And that is what like the crux of, I believe, like a lot of AA comes down to is how can I be the most of service? And it even says it in the prayer, right? Like, every defect of character that stands in the way of my usefulness to you and to my fellows, right?
Yeah, well, and this is kind of getting more, we're in the second half now. We're in the back nine.
Back nine.
And so to me, this is where it seems like there's stuff that we are going to continually go back to day after day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could say that each night before you go to bed.
Yeah.
And, you know, just acknowledge where did I come up short because I'm not able to do
morning,
it.
That's
Each
the
morning.
10th step.
Okay. Oh, spoilers, man. No, but like, so where am I coming up short? Well,
because
I'm not able to do it on my own.
What you're asking is like, it's like kind of like the start to your reprieve for the day is like, hey, like I understand that I alone am not perfect, and Creator, God, whatever you believe in, come in and assist me so that I can be of use to you, whatever it is that you would have me do, and into my fellows. You know what I mean? So,
Okay.
I'm going to let you ask the second question because I would like some clarification.
Yeah, so
of what you're asking.
Well, I was gonna try to cut you off at the pass because so step 7, you're humbly asking God to remove your shortcomings.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. You can talk to God whenever. Turns out.
Turns out. Yeah,
What
weird.
What did or does this look like from an earthly perspective? Where, like, is this conversations with your sponsor that are preparing you for this? Is this conversations with your peers that are reinforcing this? Because yes, we're asking God to remove these shortcomings, but where is the support in the day-to-day that helps you accomplish this step is what I was trying to get at.
It's like, I feel like when you look at this step, it's nice to get guidance from your sponsor or your therapist with it. Especially like if you're struggling with removing all of these things, especially like if you grew up knowing these things, like this is how you know how to do these things in your life, or that's the only way you know. And so like having somebody else guide you through that, taking a look at all those things and removing them, I think that might be what you mean a little bit.
Maybe kind of. I mean, I guess I'm wondering, like, when you and your recovery journey sat down and completed this step, was this something that you did at first with a sponsor, or is this something?
Oh. So when you do this step, like you do the first steps, and then it comes to you sit with yourself and you think about like what was talked about with your sponsor, what your character defects are, what your shortcomings are, acknowledging them with your sponsor, and then sitting with yourself and acknowledging that you were unable to do this by yourself, that you need your higher power to guide you through this and help you progress and grow as a human being. So I think it really just, it comes together with the sponsor, and then you do that work yourself with the guidance of your sponsor.
And your higher power.
Yeah, so it's like you do step 6 and you go through and you do your meditation, and then usually they give you something else to do, like the ideals list and stuff like that after that. And then you called them, like this is how it worked for me. And then I called him and we talked about my ideals list. That's when he did the Dave Chappelle gotcha. And then we had a conversation, and that mentor piece is super huge, and why sponsorship is so important and so encouraged, because it wasn't just like, okay, you did this thing, now go do it. Right. Like, at least with my sponsor, it was, okay, you did this thing. How did that feel? Yeah, here was my experience when I did that. It was this, it was that. Okay, this is what I want you to do. Da, 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 da. And like really share that, the human aspect of it is sharing that lived experience with one another. So that way, like I understand fully like what it is you're asking me to do and what I am doing. You know, explaining, you know, I'm not saying like God removed all my shortcomings today.
Right.
Right. I'm not saying that I'm perfect now. Right. I am coming in a humble manner and surrendering to something greater than me and saying, you know, it's like, I can't, he can, I think I'll let him.
Right. So this is the I think I'll let him
Yep.
portion
Yep.
of that state. So, okay, so kind of tying into this next question now, and I know that the last couple, all these middle like steps, really like 5 through 7 now, are really in conjunction with one another.
Yeah.
So when you arrived at this step, was there any sort of hitch in the giddy up, like, ooh, you know, I've acknowledged that I can't. I've acknowledged that he can, but you know, there's a line of demarcation that I'm struggling to cross. Or really, was it just 5 and 6 kind of sweep you right through this step, and you felt like you were in a place to humbly come before your higher power, ask that those shortcomings are removed?
Yeah.
I feel like working with like 5, 6, and 7, like what helped me get into this step was the steps before helped me acknowledge that I do have shortcomings and I do have character defects and that I am not a perfect person, you know, but like acknowledging that I am unable to grow and work on myself by myself, you know, like I do need my higher power to help guide me through these. And I do think that with that, like it broke me down to the point where seeing the patterns that I have with my character defects and my shortcomings and acknowledging that what I have been doing has not been working. So I need to look for other avenues, as in my higher power, to help me guide through this, because knowing my past, I just kept repeating the same mistakes, thinking there's a different outcome. Yeah. And so with this, like, it really helped me acknowledge that I do need a higher power in my life to help me through this.
Yeah.
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 Boom.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mic drop.
That's all the time we got.
Yeah. I mean, I think everything that you've been doing prepares you for this. And, you know, if you have any sort of empathy for the things that you've done, when you get to the step, at least for me, when I got to this step, it was like, please, you know what I mean? Like, take this away, dude. Like, I don't want to show up like this anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be all the things that I said that I would never be, you know? And I don't want to be a bad father. I don't want to be a bad partner. I don't want to be all of these different type of things. So it was just like the humble part for me was a little bit easier. The praying part was the hard part. Like although I'm like ready to surrender, for some reason, like remembering to get up and pray every morning was like such a struggle. And I don't know, I think that still like speaks to my character defects of, you know, I have a real problem. I have a real problem following directions. And I want to do things my way, and I have a control issue, right? And so I would still want to like take that back, and I have to remind myself of like what that looked like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I liked what you said about, I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. About like taking it on ourselves and then having someone else help you remove it, you know, because we can't do it ourselves. It makes me think of like, we can't do it ourselves because we're insane.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that help.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you guys think that this step is so crucial to the program?
Because it helps you recognize that what you have been doing has not been working. And like acknowledging that, you know, because like for me, like before I worked through the steps, I thought I, you know, had everything under control and I could just figure it out myself. But like seeing the insanity with repeating the same patterns and expecting different results, like I just got to the point where I was so broken down. So when I got to this step, like it really like opened my eyes to see that what I have been doing hasn't been working.
Well, and we've spent, if we're to this point, we've spent the time saying it's just that what we're doing is not working. And the only way that it's going to change, step 6, is that God is going to have to remove these shortcomings. So here's where the rubber meets the road, and we're finally going to have those shortcomings removed, because we've spent the first half of this entire walk over the last 6 episodes finding all the different ways that things are not working and how we cannot change it on our own. So this is almost a nice change of pace in that here's finally some relief from the fact that we cannot do this and we need someone else to take it away from us.
Yeah, I think too, it's like it really, really hammers home the we aspect of the program, right? Because I swear this says we humbly ask God. Am I tripping? Does it say we humbly, or is it?
No, I just think
it just says humbly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It says humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings.
Gotcha. Okay. But so like, I just think that like, what we've tried to do, or at least for me, I shouldn't say we, it's what I have tried to do my entire life. What I just kind of spoke to was I've tried to control every aspect of my life and do things the way that I want to do them. And every time I do that, it turns into chaos and destruction and people get hurt. Right. And this really hammers home for me the release of pride to say, I cannot do this alone. You know what I mean? And, I was watching this video the other day and they were talking about this, like, it's really hard if you don't have something outside of yourself to believe in, because you're putting so much faith in yourself and that's so much pressure.
Yeah.
Right. But if I can put some faith in something bigger than me and some faith in myself at the same time, I got a lot better shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, especially if there's bumps in the road,
right?
Because then it's not a complete failure on your part. You have support to pick you back up, because I could see how that could spiral quickly.
Yeah.
If it's all on you and you screw it up, then. But you have support here, and not just, I mean, that's the beauty of the program, is that not just you and your sponsor and your higher power, but there's a whole community of people that are going to help support you as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a reading on the 12 and 12 that I have real quickly. It's on page 74. It says, but when we have taken a square look at some of these defects, have discussed them with another, and have become willing to have them removed, our thinking about humility commences to having a wider meaning. By this time, in all probability, we have gained some measure of release from our more devastating handicaps. We enjoy moments in which there is something like real peace of mind. To those of us who have hitherto known only excitement, depression, or anxiety, in other words, to all of us, this is newfound peace and a priceless gift. Something new indeed has been added. Where humility had formerly stood for a force feeding of humble pie, it now begins to mean the nourishing ingredient which can give us serenity.
So what's funny about that passage is the meeting that I went to, that was the passage that was read when we were
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's
so funny.
Because the person who was in charge of the readings asked me, was like, man, I don't know what the reading's going to be. And Michelle had just gotten me to download the app. And so I was like, bam, cool, this line right here. And it was that passage.
That's so
on step
wild.
7. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so wild.
I like that passage. That's why I suggested it. I read it. I was like, man, that's a new way to look at humility, rather than me just being like, oh, I'm the worst, and I screwed up, and I just, I got a big head, and I gotta, it's like, no, like I can find peace in that humility. It doesn't have to be like this punitive action where I have to lower myself like get on the ground, like I'm lowering myself because I want to, because it's going to give me that peace.
Absolutely.
I think for me it was a mixture of both, because like when I came into this program I was so like airheaded, but like with this, like the rating said, like finding peace within yourself, but also acknowledging that I do not have as much control as I thought I did. And so acknowledging that, because like for me, like it was part of breaking myself down, but also building myself up at the same time. Like that's what I think the steps did for me, and to be acknowledged that I am a human being and that I do not got this.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What advice would you give someone who is beginning this step and is like apprehensive about going through with it?
What do you got to lose?
I think that was last episode too. But I actually think that reading is something that could be shared, because if you're apprehensive about that surrender, and not just for the steps, I think, for all of us, that can be sometimes, and maybe not even at the beginning. I think that you're further up Maslow's pyramid, you're going back to this, and now like, things are mostly together. Like I got this, I got that, I got a job, like it's all good, right? Mm-hmm. Why do I have to keep being humble? I've been humble for the last however long, and I'm tired of being humble, right? But remembering that peace, I think, is really important, and remembering how good that peace can feel when there is that apprehension. Because again, to me, this step, it really seems like we're approaching the point where this isn't just like something we're doing in group in the first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. We're running this back. We're running this back over and over again, and it's not always going to be easy. But if you're doing it, it is going to grant you that peace.
Well, I mean, and like for me, like the spiritual awakenings that I experienced doing these steps is something that drives me to continue to work these steps and continue to work a program, because the relief, like, and like the book talks about the spiritual awakenings and like what you experience. And like for me, like doing these steps, like I did not experience a spiritual awakening until towards the end of the steps, like these steps here, like it didn't make sense to me until I continued to work them. So if you don't understand the steps, just continue to work them. The more you do it, the more you'll understand it. And, that was my experience, because the first couple of steps, I was like, yeah, I don't know what this means. But, like, the more you get into it, the more understanding you have.
Yeah. And, like, you said you heard that reading before. It's kind of like that in meetings. If you go to meetings all the time, you'll hear things over and over and over again. Until you get it drilled into your head.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would say to anybody, I would just say you're very close to the miracle. And spoiler alert, the miracle is that the obsession to drink and to use will leave you. Mm-hmm. And you will no longer wake up in the morning. I mean, I remember crawling out of bed to use first thing in the morning, because I was so... I did, we're not going to go into that. But you're so close, and this is where you get some relief, and there is not a whole lot you got to do to get that relief. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so
it's nice. It's nice to wake up in the morning and feeling a little bit peaceful than crawling out of bed.
Right.
Or just puking, uncontrollably,
or waking up somewhere you don't remember how you got there, like all the things that come with that, right?
Trauma.
But those are you don't have to. Not only do you not have to worry about feeling those feelings, you don't have to worry about worrying about feeling those feelings too. Like it's piece on top of piece. There's the short term, but then there's also the long term of like, I don't have to panic on, am I going to end up back in that position?
Right.
When you continue to stay in these steps and work this and live this lifestyle, and that truly is a miracle. Like there's so many layers of freedom that I think I hear people talking about experience, especially as they continue to live longer in sobriety, 30, 40 years of sobriety. And they're like realized, they're actualized. They're at the tippy top of that pyramid, right? Yeah. It's a miracle if any of us can get there. I don't care how good or bad, anything in your life is. It's not easy to get up to the top of there, but it is possible when you continue to work on yourself. And I think, again, not just for NA, for AA, but for all of us to realize what those shortcomings are and continue to ask that we have those removed and work on having those removed. Like attention to detail, right, Brian?
Mm-hmm.
Like not just throwing stuff around in the back of people's trucks.
That's not yours.
Breaking windshields.
So,
yeah, who would do that?
When we talk about step 9, I'll be.
Spoilers. Hey, I made amends, and I asked that. No, spoilers. I can't even talk about it.
All right. Okay. Thank you again, Maggie, for rejoining us. That's all the time that we have today, and we will see you guys again for step 8, maybe step 8 and 9.
Step 8, 9.
Yeah.
Oh, you're really rushing there. You're really rushing me there.